My name is Candiru Juliet. Professional, I'm a teacher, a kindergarten teacher. And because of the mental challenge, I dropped teaching and I started doing peer support work. Before that, when I was in the community, I used to be stigmatized so much because of the mental challenge I was in. And people would ask me, are our children safe? But the good bit of it was that with the children, I wasn't aggressive. But with the opposite sex, I was so aggressive and violent. I didn't want them to tamper with my privacy. And after some years of working profession and I was still earning, there's a way the family, I would care for my siblings and so on. But later on, the job ended and the stigma was so strong. And when the stigma started coming in, the dependent syndrome set in. It was now the family helping me out. Of course, with that bitterness of being throwing tantrums of words, you are just pretending you're not sick. At times I would get beaten by my siblings. Sometimes when I'm in the community, I would be beaten by the community. And I was so violent and aggressive. Time came, my father thought it wise to bring me in the hospital for treatment. And I was diagnosed with bipolar, maniac, depression. And the nurses tried so hard to help me out. At one point, when I was in the hospital, I would beat my fellow patients so much. At times, I would even go ahead and fight around with the askaris who were catering for me. So what they had to do was to put me in a seclusion room, in a cold room, and freeze me for about 3 days in a cold room, naked, so that the energy in me is reduced. And after some time, I'd be, they would inject me with medicine so that the energy, the excessive energy in me goes off, and I would be given some tablets to sleep off. And I didn't like that bit because the drugs would weaken me so much and I would lose appetite for food. But after some time, I started gaining and getting better and better. And the drugs, the diagnosis was now reduced. And the doctor started assessing me. After some time, I would be discharged and I go back home. After a while, things are not okay for me at home. My father brings me back in the hospital for treatment. Sometimes I'll be institutionalized for longer periods of time, like 2 or 3 months. The shortest period of time I've ever been hospitalized is 2 weeks. That was when I just relapsed a little bit. And I said for 2 weeks, they called my dad to come and pick me up. That time he had lost his stepsister. He was in the village and the nurses were like, we can give you transport. I know you can transport yourself. By so doing, I felt my self-esteem was now what? Coming up. So I transported myself back home. And in the long run, the Butabika hospital saw to it that I was of importance to my fellow peers in the ward. So when this East London curriculum was involved in to help the peers within the wards, and also collaborating together with using service users who are better off and they know of their illness and they can manage their health and so on, I was picked upon to be trained as a peer support worker. So when I was trained as a peer support worker, I started giving in my life history of how I used to be aggressive, very violent in the community, and even in my fellow peers when I'm in the wards. So there was a turning point. I started being used. My story was inspiring others who are of that kind. And after some time, all that was going on with me left me off. I was put on a lower diagnosis because they saw I was now the healing process was now seen. And then later I was enrolled into the Recovery College to be as a peer support worker and also as a peer trainer of trainers, and would help share ideas with one another of the same kind of diagnosis, and we share our stories, and by so doing our self-esteem started coming up. Then in the long run, we were sent in the wards to work with our peers who are also like us. So by so doing, we became like a bridge, bridging the gap between the professionals and the service users and we the peer support workers. So the work was lessened. I started seeing now diverting my teaching profession into now a service user profession, like we are professionals by experience and working together with professionals by expertise. And I started seeing my self-esteem coming up and up and up. And today I stand in the gap to preach the gospel of hope to my friends that they are not alone, they can still make it.